Three, two, one.
I don't know what episode of DJ Talks this is, but welcome to DJ Talks, guys. My name is Johnny.
Hey, my name is Dan. How you doing?
Wait, are we on 30 now, or
Nah, I think we're on like 29, maybe.
29 or 30?
I'm not
something
keeping
like
up with the number.
Yeah, me neither.
After a certain point, it's like whatever.
Yeah, but either way, we've been going for a while now. We started in like July or August, and it's now February of 2018. This is fucking dope.
Something like that, man. It's been a very good run so far. I enjoy this every week. It's fun to talk about things. So
pretty good. So this episode is going to be a lot lazier than the other ones. It's going to be just like just rambling about random shit specific to champion design in League of Legends. We're kind of inspired by a theme that came up in a recent Beyond the Rift episode. And Dan suggested that we talk about like some of the League of Legends champions that we really enjoy playing, that we feel had a lot of like really good design in their in the way they were developed, versus other champions that might not be as fun. I don't think either of us are going to be talking about champions like Nunu or Ezreal, champions that like don't necessarily feel like they were designed with the same intricacy as some of the other champions that we're going to have.
Whoa. Ezreal is pretty nice here.
Dude, I think Ezreal is like, he's so, like, his kit feels so old and outdated compared to some of the champions we're going to be talking about today. Even some of the champions that we're going to go into, they're a little older, but they still feel like way better to play, I think. That Ezreal's gameplay feels smooth. I don't think that it's like a super awesome, like, well-designed champion though, but maybe I'm wrong because like he's kind of withstood the test of time without having to have too much rework. So who knows?
And with all the LCS hype going on, the new changes in franchising in the League of Legends Champion Series, all the pro players, all the drama, everything going on, we wanted to do a League of Legends video. We're bringing it back to our gaming,
our roots.
There we go. So, why don't we just kickstart it off, actually, with some comments of last week. I don't think we had too many. We just had one. Same as always, Kevin Wu. Kevin.
Woke up to a great episode.
There we go.
That stuff feels good, man. I actually got a couple messages, too, from our boy Jasper. He said he really enjoyed the Nintendo's console episode. I thought it was just a lot of fun to like record and talk about. There's a lot of stuff that I learned just from the research that Dan put into it. So, I thought you did a really good job, and it was kind of interesting seeing how every console kind of ranked with each other. Like, it didn't really hit me that the Wii was the best-selling console, and like Nintendo's like prize, like they're like not claim to fame, but they're like their golden baby sort of thing. I didn't realize it was a Wii. I was kind of always under the impression that maybe it were in their handhelds, but I was wrong. So.
But no, man. I mean, I was equally as surprised with the way the Wii, like all the Wii games played out. They are top selling in almost every single category here. That's true. They have the Wii Fit, the Wii Sport, the Wii this, the Wii that, everything Wii, and then boom.
That was really surprising.
That's pretty crazy, though. So, interesting facts about that. We might do some other videos about Nintendo or other consoles, but as of now, sticking with this right here.
Yeah. All right. So, do you want to start with one of your favorite champions, Dan?
One of my favorite champions.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Or do you want to start with one that you feel was like
all right
on your list of ones that you want to talk about?
I wanted to talk about one champion that I think is really well designed and really feels good. Not only to play, but to play against. And you also have to have a lot of skill playing this champion, is Orianna. And I think both of us have this as well. In my opinion, Orianna's robotic, female, kind of cool, plays around with his ball. You get to toss around. And overall, I just feel like not only do you have to have a lot of skill playing the champion, but it feels good to play against, right? You're not getting overpowered and overdominated. You're not getting absolutely dumpstered every single second by this champion. If you do lose to an Orianna, you're like, all right, you know what? this felt like she was actually really good at the champion. So it doesn't feel super punishing when you're playing against an Orianna, as well as just the amount of skill that you need to put into and time that you need to put into this champion to actually make her at that level. So
Yeah,
overall, all that factors in.
Yeah. Orianna is really unique because I think she's one of the couple champions we're going to talk about today where like you look at her kit and it just makes sense. You don't have to like think too much about how everything works. It just like literally moving around a ball, you could do different things with it. And when you think about the basic necessities of what you would want to do with a ball and how it will interact with people, like it'll do a little damage. You'll have a couple buffs here. I think there's so many unique ways that you can interact with her ball and like the game. Something I always thought was really cool is that they added on her W. I think that's dissonance, command dissonance. You can do damage to somebody, and it kind of does damage more in the center than outside, closer to the ball than not. But then it'll also give you a speed boost or slow down enemies, I believe.
Yeah.
Depending on like who it's interacting with. It'll also speed up like your minions, for example. So like something that's really common I've seen is where like Orianna players will make sure they're running alongside a minion wave, and they'll use W's so they can speed up the minions along with them. I always thought that was really cool. I always loved seeing like really good Orianna players like use command protect the E to like just throw it on somebody that's going to jump in and initiate immediately so they could use a shockwave. That's always like really fun to watch. I think just the kit, when you look at it, it just makes so much sense. It just feels right. It's one of the very few champions of League of Legends where you look at it, you're like, this is like one of the really, really well-made champions that just stands out. Also, like, just a side note, I am a little sick. I'm getting a little over a cold, so I'm sorry if I sound like super congested.
No worries.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that Orianna is like one of the couple champions where like if you put a lot of time into playing her, you'll learn a lot about mid lane, and you can actually develop yourself mechanically. She's pretty mechanically demanding, even though I don't think it's terribly hard to pick her up immediately. Learning how to like move the ball around might be hard at first, but like Dan said, I think she's like extremely satisfying to play. And I personally like will probably default to playing Orianna if I get filled or if I get assigned mid.
I mean, other things about it kind of look bad when you do miss it a lot. The ultimate.
What, the shockwave? Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? It adds that element of, funny, hilarious moments when you're playing with your friends as well. Or tilt moments. Who knows exactly?
The animation is such that if you ultimate just over yourself, because the ball kind of floats around you. I mean, I don't think we need to talk too much in detail, actually. That's totally my fault, since like most of the people that are watching will probably know the champions. Anyway, the animation looks so funny that like, they're not funny. It looks such that if you ulti over your head, it looks like a sombrero, which is kind of like a funny thing. The LCS casters have like kind of joked about like, oh, Pobalt just sombreroed or something, or like people joke about how Pokemon, or Pokimane, the streamer, she misses Ori ult all the time, so like and she kind of sombreros and like she just misses them and stuff. So I don't know, it's kind of funny. It's definitely funny to watch people miss the ulti. I'm like a huge victim of that too, but it just feels so fucking good when you see like really big highlight plays. There's one really big play on the Penta last season where Faker got a 5-man ulti near Baron, near that pixel brush. He got a 5-man ulti on Ori, and it just like turned the game around because they were pretty far behind, and he didn't even have that much damage. But it was just such a good ultimate that like his team was able to follow up, and I think they won the game off that. It was, oh man, it's just so good to watch.
Just super good control, Mage. Overall, you have to play around the ball. That the enemy's team has to play around the ball as well. They have to pay attention to where it is. And then, yeah, like you said, it has a lot of different pieces to the kit. Shields, speed ups, slows, knockback or knock-ins, pull-ins. No, the ult. And overall, it's just a very fun champion to play, I think. Personally, I haven't played too much of Orianna, but I feel like it's a very well designed. I'm not very mechanically gifted, so I probably sombrero all the time. But I appreciate the champion. So
it just feels bad if you like E on somebody and they run out of range of your E, and you ulti because they're near enemies, but then the ball like just instantly teleports back to you,
Mhm.
and you whiff. That's the feels bad, man. That's like
Another moment is if you ult just a tank, pull them in towards your team a little bit, and then they just yeah,
and then you're like, well, I could have like saved the ulti for like a squishy or something.
exactly.
That feels bad.
But overall, I think both of us agree that yeah, this champion is super fun to play. Lots to do with her kit. Have to put a lot of time into it, and it doesn't feel bad to play against. So,
Yeah.
that's my first one.
Okay.
Go right
I
on
think
ahead, Johnny.
I will start with Zach. So I think Zach is a really, really unique champion. I remember reading somewhere on Twitter, I tried to look it up, but I couldn't find it, that there's a rumor that Zach was one of the hardest champions to develop because of all the gooey, like liquidy particles that go into him to make him like seem like that the movements would be natural. So I heard that he was like one of the hardest champions to actually create and add to the game. Which is why you don't see too many skins for him. But I feel like once you get like the base particles down, then like creating skins for a champion like Zach is a little easier. But I love the idea of him like all of his abilities are themed around the fact that he's like this gooey lump of like
Blob.
weird. He's a blobby fighter, but like he's like super useful in a lot of scenarios. And I love the fact that he plays as a tank. Because he's gooey and can kind of like come back together, he can run around and pick up the sheds of goo that he's dropped and heal himself. I think that's really cool. I think just the way he plays as a champion is something that works really well with me. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just like a brainless jungler that just goes around farming shit and like healing back up and like not really looking too much for fights. And then like it's really forgiving when you have like really long range initiates, but then your ulti lets you come right back out and you'll probably be fine. Also, just the fact that his passive is a free Guardian Angel is really, really fucking nice. But it works. It matches the theme of his kit so well. All of his abilities seem really fun.
So you can die more often. That's what you're trying to say.
Technically, yeah. You could die once every 5 minutes and not actually count towards your KDA, so that'll feel pretty good. And he's also one of the few champions in the game that has aspects of him coded as a minion. So when he is in his passive, and his four, like cell parts are like coming back together, you could teleport to them because they are minions. You could smite them or consume them with Nunu's Consume because they count as minions. So I don't know. I don't think Syndra can pick them up. I've never heard of that. I'm just thinking about like minion interactions, and I don't think she can do that. But I think Zach's like really fucking dope. I actually am a huge fan of the rework. Because last year around this time they reworked Zach, and I wasn't a big fan of it. They made it so his Q wasn't just like a punch, but it was a punch and it was a drag back, so you could smack two things together or just like pull something closer to you. So there's more CC on it instead of just a slow. Yep. And his ulti was changed completely. So instead of the 4 bounces and knockback, you can actually pull someone back in any direction without being targetable. I love the rework. It definitely feels a lot more like you're interacting with the whole like gooey body theme, but I don't know. I really like the way he plays. It just feels right to me.
Okay, yeah, but sometimes it does feel like he's popping out of nowhere. That's the thing. His range on his jump is huge. He has so much CC in his kit. It definitely. I haven't personally played the new Zach yet because I don't play jungle very often, but I have seen obviously in LCS Zach being played quite a bit in the beginning, a little less so afterwards, but yeah, with the amount of CC with that GA tied to his passive, it's just an overall solid champion. And yeah, the theme of it is super cool.
Yeah,
I don't think they really needed to change too much from his previous, like his ult. I thought that was a super like pre-rework,
yeah.
pre-rework. I don't think I thought his ultimate was actually. I thought it fit his style and his theme pretty well. Like this gooey, and he's bouncing up and down.
Yeah.
Because you see when you have his animations, his dance animations, his taunt animations, this he's playful, right? It almost
Yeah.
seems like he's really playful. He wants to, have fun, and this, that one where he balloons up. That's his taunt animation, right? I think so. Balloons up and he like floats down or something.
Yeah, that's his taunt. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got a lot of like fun aspects, and I thought his ultimate fit that very well. At the same time, the rework also made it so he's a blob, a goop, and he's pulling you back. It makes sense as well. So overall, fun.
So his old ulti, I agree. I didn't think it was bad. The problem was that I think Zach back then was in a weird place where like he did too much for free. Like, you didn't have to invest too much damage in him, but his ulti and the rest of his kit just dealt so much damage that it just put him in a position where it's like, why is this guy like smashing? Why is he like getting to the backline and doing so much damage? I mean, even at my elo, sure, like I'm low elo, I'll grant you that, but I shouldn't be able to go into the backline and like one shot the 80 carry just because I landed all of my abilities on her or him, and I built like no AP items. A lot of it was like percent damage, percent health damage. Because I'm a tank, so I'm gonna be like, there's gonna be minimal damage that I'm doing, but it'll be percent health. So I can clear the jungle and stuff. But just being able to like land 4 bounces of the ulti, the old ulti, in addition to like splashing all of my abilities on like an 80 carry or a support, and how often my W comes up because I'm picking up the shreds of goo. That lowers the cooldown of my W by 1 second every time, and you max that second. So it just puts you in a weird scenario where like you're doing way too much damage. So I agree. I liked that old ability, but I think that the change now is for the better. So I guess like Zach's in this weird place now where like I know that I hate when he's picked up in the meta game because then other people are playing him and he gets banned, and like he's really the only jungler I can play at like some competent level. So I hate it when he gets banned because I'm like, I can't rank. But
I can't rank.
yeah, I can't, dude. I'm just gonna like fucking play Sejuani and like miss every ulti because like at least she's tanking, she's like kind of useful, and like she's just really a nuisance.
Yeah.
Whereas like with Zach, I feel like I have a real impact on the game.
If you saw Sejuani, I'm gonna tie this into LCS though. Sejuani this weekend. Sorry, this is a tangent, but Smithy played Sejuani.
Oh baby.
And just dumpstered all over FlyQuest.
Oh, did he really?
Shrimp. They played Shrimp instead of Anda this week.
Okay.
If anyone doesn't know about that, but he was counter jungling. He was setting up wards. He almost solo killed. Well, I guess he sort of solo killed. I don't know if you could say sort of solo killed. He pretty much took out most of its health, and then most of Shrimp's health once, and then Poe Belter jumped in and took the last hit. But he was playing super well. I thought it was super cool. You mentioned Sejuani really quickly, and I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Team Liquid, all because of Doublelift though. I'm not just a bandwagoner. Sorry. Let's move on.
I do want to say though, fun fact about Zach. I know this to be fact. His sound effects came from dog food and beans inside a condom being slapped against the wall.
Hell yeah.
When you hear those like squishy, weird sounds from Zach, now you know where it's coming from.
It's a condom.
It's a condom with some shit in it slapped against the wall.
Boom.
Yeah. Feels good, man.
It's amazing. So, a little other tangent here. It's amazing how people actually come up with sound effects.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen those videos about it. They actually just play around with random junk, and they see what sound they make. They do it in a sound studio, and they like slap it on the ground or slap it on the wall or slap it together, and they just... So every single sound effect in movies that you see comes from some type... Maybe not every single one, but a lot of them come from a a couple of people or a team of people playing around with junk and just smashing it. So
Yeah, and just doing weird shit with it.
yeah, that's super cool, and that's something actually really interesting. The dog food condom slap.
Hell yeah. All right, Dan, take it away. Give me another champion.
All right, I'm gonna give you my next champion. So I'm personally a support player. So my next two are gonna be support champions. My next one though is gonna be Nami.
Oh,
And you'll see a lot why I chose these champions as well. It's a lot of times it feels good to play against. That's literally a lot of the reasons why I chose them, as well as somewhat of the kit. But Nami isn't super punishing. You don't feel like, all right, she just one shot me. She just CC'd me for 5 minutes over, and she just nonstop dumpstering all over us. No, her Q, her little bubble, is very easily dodgeable. So if you're very good, Q is dodgeable. So you're not playing against something. She has a heal. She has a buff, I guess. Yeah, buff. Overall, her kit has a lot of pieces to it, as well as her passive kind of speeding up allied champions as well. Overall, I think you can do a lot with the champion. You can't really outplay too much, but overall, it's like a solid kit. That's what I think. I think it's super cool as well with the mermaidy kind of fish-like theme as well. And yeah, I love Nami. It's super underpicked, I think. I don't know why. I never really know why champions aren't played. Maybe because it's hard to hit certain things, but I like it. I like her. I play her a lot. Yeah.
I think Nami is in this weird place where, like, in the metagame, you're not going to see it played a lot just based on, like, what's popular. And you do see a lot of, like, tank initiating supports that can, like, fucking teleport to another lane by taking Unseal Spellbook. And I don't see Nami as the kind of champion that, can teleport somewhere and then, like, do something with her base abilities. A lot of her CC does come from, like, her Q and her ulti. But usually I understand that, like, people generally only Q after they ulti when they know they can land a bubble as opposed to just, like, YOLOing it.
Right.
So that might be a part of it. But I always like Nami thematically. I'm like huge on, like, water themed champions and stuff. So, like, when Syndra's Atlantean skin came out, I thought that was really cool. When Alawi was initially announced, I thought she was really cool. Any, like, this water based like characters, I'm, like, way too partial towards. But I think Nami's not really cool. She definitely feels good to play against, which is really weird to say, but, like, it's one of those things where, like, if something hits you, or if you're punished by Nami in some way, shape, or form, you were in the wrong place, and you should realize that. That it was just, like, a bad place for you to be in, or you got caught somewhere, and it's probably your fault. But it's also that, like, you can understand where the counterplay comes from, but Nami's also in a position where, like, she's gonna put so much into the AD that she's playing with, like the speed buffs, the auto buffs, and healing. It's like it's like there's so much information that's out on the playing field that it doesn't feel like at any point it's different from the feeling that you get of being, like, flash ultied on, or not flash ultied, like flash EQ'd by, or is it EQ or WQ? WQ, whatever. Flash comboed by Alistar, for example, or, like, flash EQ'd by Leona, versus Nami, where, like, it's easier to read, but it could also be very punishing. So I guess I agree there, where it's like it feels better to play against. But I also think that Nami, like you, I would definitely play Nami if I was, like, autofilled support or something. Just because I am partial to casters, and also because I think it's just fun, dude. You just send a fucking big ass tidal wave over to the teams and like slow them, and then your team does all this shit, and you're like, yeah, I was useful.
Mhm.
But like, it also feels really good when like you give everybody on your team a speed buff by like using your skills on them. It's like, yeah, I'm useful. You know, it just feels pretty good.
Yeah, and every
so-
single skill that she has can speed up somebody. So
I thought it was just her W and her E when it lands on somebody.
you can hit your Q on your own,
No way.
on your allies. So it's a very small. Nobody ever
Really?
does it. Yeah, but you can.
I don't
Q-
wait. No way.
Q on top of yourself or on a allied champion, and they get a speed buff too.
What?
Yeah. Sometimes I like Q myself in base to get to lane faster.
That's a thing?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of small little things like E. When her E is the buff that she has on a champion, she can like the auto attack slow as well as does additional magic damage.
Oh, you're right. Holy shit, I never knew that.
There's a lot of small little things, but I don't think there's too much hidden inside her. There are some cool, like her W can bounce so many multiple times, so utilizing it properly is actually really good. You don't just heal your allied AD, but you can also bounce off. I think you can get a total of 4 bounces, maybe?
Three. It goes.
Okay.
Yeah, it has to alternate though, so you can go ally, enemy, ally, or enemy, ally, enemy.
All right, there you go. So
Yeah.
so getting that max like enemy to you to enemy again, that just feels so good. Definitely enemies are in the wrong place if they can get double hit like that, but I mean there's so much you can probably do. And in team fight she's really useful. So she's not only a
Okay.
disengager, but she can engage too.
So I wanted to add to what you said earlier because you're 100% right. When you use her QWE, you'll have a movement speed boost for 1.5 seconds, but has doubled if you're within the impact range of her ulti. So I didn't know that. That's awesome. Like clearly, you know your champion. Like you know why you like playing him. So that's dope. Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that.
It's definitely hard to hit that, but but in team fights it's super cool. So you randomly throw out a Q, land it or something, as well as on an ally, then it's very useful. So
I see. That's really good to know.
fun to
Thanks,
play.
Dan.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
All right, popping off to our next one, Johnny.
Okay. So next champion I want to talk about is Jin. Because Jin is this like fucked up virtuoso dude that's like really creepy, but I love Jin. So everything in his kit is themed around the number 4, which just is incredible to me because in music the most common time is 4/4, or like you'll have music in 4, which means that you can feel the beat in segments of 4. Very rarely will you hear music in segments of 5, and sometimes you'll get it in 3. But 3 is common in like waltzes and shit. Sometimes even music that you can feel in 2, you can still feel in 4. If you've ever studied music before, you'll know what I'm talking about. But like the next time you listen to a song, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, just like kind of count 1, 2, 3, 4, and just count it naturally to the beat of the song, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, like what it means to feel a song in 4. But anyway, everything in Jin's kit, it revolves around 4, and it's also really cool because in Southeast Asian languages, the number 4 sounds like the word death in a lot of those languages. I know that's the case in Chinese and Japanese, and I believe in Korean. I'm not sure, but that's just what the Wikia said, so I'm going to go with it. So every single one of his abilities has some kind of 4 in it. His passive makes it so you can only have 4 auto attacks at once before you have to reload. His Q, bouncing grenades, bounces 4 times, or it'll hit 4 enemies. His W will mark you for 4 seconds passively before you can like root somebody. His E will reveal you for 4 seconds if you're hit, and his ulti is also another 4-shot type of ability. I fucking love that. Like everything just feels like it makes sense to one theme. Like you were just talking about, Dan, how Nami is like the tide caller. And all of her abilities are to like help her allies out, speed them up, get them going swiftly with the course of the river, and then also like to fuck up your opponents, right?
With the
Jin
course
is
of the
really-
river, baby.
yeah, or the tidal wave or whatever
There
it
you
is.
go.
But Jin is like just like he's a composer. I know like his title is a virtuoso in the game, like that's his little tagline. And all of his abilities just like they do really cool things. Like when someone steps on one of Jin's E's, the little traps, you'll hear like a little whisper in your ear, like, what the fuck? Where'd that come from? You know, it's creepy. It's Jin. He's in my head, you know? And then when you ulti as Jin, you'll hear like the violin music going. It's like so fucking dope. I think he's also like really smooth to play. At first it's really clunky because when you like really weird interactions will happen where like maybe when you run out of bullets and you're trying to auto attack something, you're just gonna stand there. So sometimes when you're playing a couple games of Jin and you're getting used to it, you'll just stand there trying to auto, but you won't auto and you'll just fucking die because you're standing there doing nothing. But then when you learn how to play him, you know, you'll realize that like during that time you can toss abilities out still. You can maybe run back, wait for you to reload, go back in, start tossing a couple more abilities, like stand back. A lot of his abilities are also have really nice animations when Jin uses them because he'll like spin around or he'll like be really fancy with his movements, and it does create that feeling of like someone that's artsy and someone that really feels the music through his veins. There's a lot of lore and a lot of really fun facts about Jin that, you know, I don't want to go too much into. If that's something that interests you, you can like look up on a wiki. But I think that his gameplay feels very modern compared to like earlier I was talking about Ezreal. I think Ezreal definitely withstood the test of time and like the basic ability of being like shoot a laser, shoot a really big laser, hop over a wall, like really easy basic abilities, right? But then Jin like is a very specific way to play the game. But there are so many different things you can do with him, and it feels so different because of like the really long range on his W, the really, really big range on his ulti. It feels very modern to me, and if you get the hang of it, when you realize what he can and can't do, that clunkiness I was talking about kind of goes away, and actually feels very smooth to play him.
I personally didn't know all of that 4 thing. I knew about 4 in general, like he had 4 bounces or he had this, but every single ability tied with the theme 4 as well. Super cool. Riot design team has been really doing well in creating very unique themed champions and adding everything in their kit to kind of revolve around that. So every type of, even the reworks that they're doing, have that overall theme tied in with it. I think they're doing a great job. Good job on you, Riot design team. And then being able to implement that and push it out as well. At the speed they do is really good. But yeah, Jin, I've had many moments where I've played Jin and it definitely was not good. that reload animation timing you really do have to get used to. But overall, yeah, he's a caster AD almost, right? Sort of. Did you say that? Caster AD?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, he's not a caster in like the sense of like Ezreal, Corki,
Right.
But he does like use a lot of ability. Like he's not like a Varus either. So he's like in a weird place where like he like auto attacks a lot, but then he has to stand back and just throw abilities out like casting. So I'll give it to you, Dan. I'll give it to you.
Ability based AD. There you go. Ability based AD. And there's so many small little pieces of the design if you don't pay attention to the champion. I personally don't pay attention too much to what they do in the game, not just the abilities, but their little taunt animations, all that like spinning around stuff. I think is super cool, based around music as well.
Yeah,
good job, once again, design team.
Yeah, I mean, what's also really cool about Jin, and we didn't really talk about this, but his abilities scale differently as well. So, his auto attack speed will never really go up. it'll go up a little bit, but it cannot be improved outside of just leveling up. You have to you can buy attack speed items to increase attack speed. So when you buy things like attack speed or critical strike chance, it'll increase like his damage. It'll also increase the power on his fourth shot, which by the way, every 4 shots he does have like a crit. It's guaranteed to crit. So his stats scale differently as well. I'm sure that there's like a really cool way that like the design team came up with it, so like it would match the theme of like, you know, the music, you know, if he's attacking like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 all the time, it's not like the music is getting faster every time, right? So he's kind of keeping pace with the songs, and it only goes up a little bit every time. I mean, that's just my guess. I don't know, but that's just another really interesting fact about him. So like, to go with what you were saying earlier, Dan, like just a learning curve of realizing that like him versus other AD carries who will get a much quicker attack speed. Like if you're fucking playing like Caitlyn or Ashe, you know, you're gonna be hammering down autos really fucking fast, and like with Jhin, that's not gonna happen. So it feels very different to play him, but he still fills the role. It's nice to see that Riot is still able to put out champions like Jhin that fills that role, but it's just so different from everything else in that role.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, moving on here. Next champion, my last champion, is Teemo. I'm just kidding. I'm messing.
Jesus Christ! I was gonna quit.
No. But seriously, Teemo. Oh no. All right. My next champion is Bard.
Oh yes,
One of my favorite.
I'm a fan. Hell yeah.
One of my personal favorite champions to play. There's so much also to do with it. Another thing, I guess, once again, same thing. It doesn't feel super bad to play against. You can clearly tell when you have a good Bard versus a bad Bard. Like, there are a lot of instances where I have played against a Bard that is way above my level, and their Q. So the Bard's Q you have to be in the right angle. You have to not only hit one thing, but you have to hit one thing behind it, and that actually creates a stun or a root. No, stun. It is a stun. The way certain high-level Bard players play when dumpstering on lower level players, they just find the most creative ways to stun you. I just don't understand sometimes how they do it. You can just feel so bad, but it is totally your fault for mispositioning. His ult is one of my favorite ults. This giant, it's called Tempered Fate. This giant spirit energy thing thrown into the air, creating a Zonya-like effect on every single person and every single piece, tower as well. You can not only use it defensively, you can use it offensively. You can create situations for your team to knock other enemies out of the fight for a little bit. You can take out towers as well. And then his roaming ability is definitely super. Obviously, he's the wandering caretaker, so his ability to roam as well and get around the map is really nice. But overall, my favorite is his ult. That's one thing that I really love about him. So
yeah, Bard is dope as fuck. I mean, like, you were just talking about Tempered Fate, which kind of like freezes, you know, an area. It also freezes dragons and barons, which is
there you go. Okay.
It creates really unique scenarios in like team fights sometimes. And you'll see like really good Bard ults, you'll see really bad Bard ults, but just the fact that there's so much variation in how he plays, I think makes him really unique. I think that like you're right that there are some there's some players that just are so good with the way they land their stuns. It's like you just wonder how they're able to calculate that shot in their head, because like it's not something that you would have been able to see.
Mhm.
I guess that's kind of what separates like the good players from the great players, from the best players. But yeah, no, I like when you see a good bard, you really respect them. You have a lot of I kind of admire them a little bit. I know Aphromoo has like a pretty solid bard. I really enjoy watching it. I don't. It doesn't feel good playing against Bard because it can feel really oppressive sometimes because they're so good. They can be really good rather, but I completely agree. I think that like that temper fade ability really, and then Magical Journey. That's like, I don't know, dude. It's just a really unique kit. I'm a pretty big fan.
There's a lot of outplay potential with Bard as well. Being able to escape at low health, being able to toss out your ult very quickly, so the further it is, the longer it takes to travel as well. But if it's right on top of you, it's very quick. So there's a lot of outplay potential. Flashes, Qs, ults, Magical Journey, all tossing them out very quickly in quick succession just to escape, or not only that, but to engage as well. And then using that Magical Journey to find unique gank routes and gank from completely random fog of war area that you don't really expect unless you're playing against a bard. So I mean, I feel like there's so many ways to play him.
Yeah.
To a degree, I guess, but I think his overall kit is super cool. So yeah, that's my third and final one. Johnny, take us away.
All right. My last champion is gonna be the Blind Monk Lee Sin. So he's also champion. I think has kind of withstood the test of time. I don't think that he's seen like too many major reworks to his kit, but there's so many creative things you could do with Lee Sin that like aren't necessarily seen as creative anymore because we already like know about them. It comes from the mobility and the versatility that is in his kit. When you see him in the meta game, and when you see him played by pros, you'll see that oftentimes they'll try to be as creative as they can by letting you know that they can do everything that they need to be able to do on his champion. And the different things that you can do on Lee Sin, just based on the way his kit was designed, is insane. So let's start with like the theme, and he's a blind monk, and he is a fighter that doesn't see. He uses like the senses around him and sound and feeling to move around and to identify what to do. So his Q is like resonating strike. It sends out like a sound wave, and he can like fly to it and stuff like that. His E, like he smacks the ground and he kind of like feels things out, which gives him vision of it for a while, I think. And his W is a safeguard. He just like goes to an ally, and he can also and I also acts as a shield. But like when you realize how much mobility Lee Sin has and what he can do with it, like you kind of have to appreciate the way the champion was designed. There's so many ways you can get behind an enemy with his ultimate and utilize his ultimate. What was it? Dragon something?
Dragon Strike? No.
I should have looked it up before. I don't remember what it was. I thought I remember it, but I don't. Dragon's Rage. Dragon's Rage.
All right.
Yeah. So Dragon's Rage, it's a kick in one direction. It'll knock you into a wall. I think, or it'll knock you one way. I think if you hit allies, they'll be knocked up as well. I don't think you can go over walls. You can kick them over walls, but like it doesn't stun hitting it into a wall. So ideally, what you'll want to do is like use your abilities to get behind an enemy and then kick them into your team so your team can kill them. But there are a bunch of ways to do that. You can you can resonating strike in, you can drop a ward behind them, safeguard to the ward, and then kick them in. Or you can resonating strike in onto the target, land on the target with the resonating strike, drop a ward behind them, and then kick. You can also resonating strike, not complete the resonating strike, so you don't actually deal the damage before it lands, flash behind them, and then kick them. And then there's all the possibilities they can do where you flash on them without ward hopping, right? I know that there was one really famous LCS play. I don't remember who it was, but they're going onto inhibitor, and Lee Sin resonating strikes one guy. He goes in, flashes, ward hops behind another guy, and it kicks the other person in.
MLXG.
Was it?
I believe so.
It was like a bottom inhibitor play. I don't remember what it was.
MLXG.
Okay, yeah. I think it was MLXG. Yeah. You're right. See, I knew you knew what I would be talking about because it was like a really popular play. There's also a really popular clip on YouTube with Scuba Chris, an old pro player, playing on Scar's stream. And what this guy did was he went up to a Xerath, used his ulti, but then before the ulti completed, flashed behind him. So you can ulti and then flash and ascend in a different direction. Just the fact that this champion has so many different ways you can interact with the abilities by displacing your enemies with the right sequence of using your skills, but like having that variation to kind of measure a skill cap is fucking insane to me. Like, that is really, really cool. Lee Sin has seen a couple of nerfs. Like, for a while, he just had such good early game damage that like they had to like lower all of his damage over and over and over. I know that for a while his E actually lowered attack speed, and they had to get rid of that a long time ago. They also removed like some they used to get a shield when you ward hopped, but then they got rid of that. So like Dan said, you're right. They did nerf him a lot, but he is still a champion that can still do all of these things. So like Riot is aware of like all the possibilities of what he could do on Lee Sin, but they have just kind of shaved away at all like the extra win more type of stuff that you don't necessarily need. I think that as a champion, he's phenomenal. Design wise, he's never a champion that I was ever able to play at all. Like I'll play him, and there'll come a point where I realize how relevant I am because I can't pull off the like the high level plays that you'll need to execute on mechanically. But he's a really fun champion. He's really, really fun to watch, and understanding the variability and everything that he does takes a really good player that you can only see at the highest level.
The feel of this champion when somebody plays it, the level difference that you mentioned between somebody who is silver and gold versus somebody who's master challenger is it ranges so widely. You can almost every single time you play against or with, you know exactly how many games this person has put into it, how long they've played it, their mechanics behind it, because obviously game knowledge is a completely separate thing, but purely mechanically wise, you can clearly tell this guy is insane. But yeah, definitely there were a lot of pieces to his kit that felt really punishing and super unfair. And that's why he received so many nerfs. And I remember so many damage nerfs, pieces off of his abilities, shields away, this away, that away, everything slowly. And now, unfortunately, he's not seen too much. But I still think and his power spikes are good. So you don't have a consistently powerful champion every single part of the game. He gets weaker throughout the game. His only thing that he does at late game, for the most part, unless you're building absolute pure damage, which is most people don't do, is being able to displace an enemy carry. And being able to do that is one of the priorities in late game. But he feels powerful early, a little bad late. And so there's like a dynamic, a variation when it comes to the gameplay as well. I agree completely. Great champion design for a champion that was made very early in the game. But I hope they do something to him so he does come back into competitive.
Because he's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's so fun to watch. There are huge moments. We didn't even mention the Insec, obviously, which you did say, but the name, obviously, is called the Insec when you can ward hop or flash behind, kick back really quickly. Insec obviously had a huge and popular. He should trademark that or something. But yeah, overall he's just super fun to watch when played well. The
Yeah.
huge highlight moments, and that's
Yeah.
what you need, the excitement. Right now it's all tank. It's like, oh, cool, you're sitting in front of your carries, soaking up damage, meat shield here. I mean, you throw out a couple of abilities, but overall you're just kind of standing there tanking. Lee
Yeah.
Sin here, out of nowhere, pops out, ward hops, kicks your carries in. Oh my god, big plays. You hear the casters screaming out of their minds, and
It's
well
a good
designed.
time.
Good time.
It's a good time. That's it for me, though. That's all my noteworthy champions. So
Yeah, that's it. There we go. I mean, we gave you out 6 that we enjoy playing. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you enjoy playing. Let us know what you think is a well-designed champion. Let us know what maybe champions you want designed, or maybe you think should be reworked, or how they should be worked. Whatever you have, toss it to us. Email, comment, like, subscribe, whatever you can do. Toss it all out, and we'll always read it. So,
sounds good.
all right. Thank you very much, and you'll see us next time.